Yes, Chris.
So you'd like some clarification on something a White House spokesperson said yesterday about that ENDA executive order against LGBT workplace discrimination. Last week you said that you weren't going to be issuing that executive order at this time, but the spokesperson said yesterday you haven't taken any options off the table. Does this represent a change in the White House position from last week? I mean, there might be a situation in which you...
Well, I don't know about the comment that you're referring to. What I can tell you is that our position hasn't changed since we started talking about this last week, that at this time we're not, we believe that the right approach is to build support for passage of ENDA legislation, and that I think an example of why this approach can be most effective is the way that we approached repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So there is no change. I don't know about the anonymous quote that you're citing, or necessarily that it contradicts. I'm sorry?
So it wasn't an anonymous quote, it was from Schiff.
Okay. Well, then I don't necessarily, that's not how it was presented to me, Chris. So you just said a White House, okay. I don't believe that it represents, what I just heard you say does not represent anything different from what I've said in the past, which is that at this time we're not pursuing an executive order. I'm not going to speculate about executive orders that may or may not be pursued in the future. What I'm saying is right now we're not. We discussed this pretty thoroughly last week, and the focus is on building the kind of support for and coalition behind passage of the Employment Non-Discrimination Act that we hope would lead to the kind of legislative action that would be especially effective in this case.
A number of LGBT advocates have expressed displeasure with the news from last week, and yesterday the National Council of La Raza called on the President to revisit the decision. Does the administration misjudge the patience of its supporters by not issuing this executive order?
Chris, I would simply say that the President believes that in this case that the right approach is to try to build support for ENDA. I think that a good example, again, is to look at the approach that was taken by this administration in dealing with his commitment to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and working with Congress and working with the Pentagon to ensure that that came to pass. There was criticism at the time that we weren't taking the right approach. In the end, I think it has been shown to have been the right approach and an effective approach in both building support and ensuring that it's in its implementation within the military, that because of the actions that were taken and the approach that was taken, that the implementation itself has been extremely effective and smooth.